Well, you probably said it before. Run the numbers and I'll be fine. Well, what if the math you're relying on isn't telling you the full story? That's what this video is all about. We're going to make sure that we unpack some of the common examples of fuzzy math in retirement planning and showing how if you spot those in time, you can help solve some real problems. Welcome into Perfect Game Retirement. Glad to have you on the channel once again. I'm Ben George with Ryan Ledden at Black Oak Asset Management. And Ryan, we're talking about fuzzy math today and things that can kind of sabotage your financial future if you're not careful. And that's part of what you do, right? I mean, it's all about kind of identifying these trouble areas and problem solving them before they get out of hand.
Yeah, because it's hard to do some of the fuzzy math that we'll talk about. Sometimes it's hard to just pull out a calculator and do this math on your own because there's ups, there's downs, there's twists, there's turns. I mean, you name it. It's hard to calculate it on your own, especially when you're talking about rates of return or withdrawal rates, because it's just going to do this every single year, and you have to be able to make adjustments and pivot when you need to. So, yeah, I like the title of this show, Fuzzy Math, because we hear certain math numbers and it doesn't usually play out as it does on paper, as it does in life.
All right, so then let's jump into it here. Again, we have 5 that we'll get to, and I'll give you the statement. I'll let you explain why it might be fuzzy math and what we can actually do instead. So first one, the mutual funds I'm invested in have averaged 7% annual growth for the last 5 years, and I'm perfectly happy with that moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great if, and then probably they're calculating 7% just year over year over year, and it just doesn't happen like that. So that's a lot of times math I have to debunk when you hear people talk about rates of return and it's going to average this and average this. Well, again, if it averages, and that's where you need to know your standard deviation number. Like, you need to know what your portfolio will produce on the top end and the bottom end with almost mathematical certainty. Again, there's always those events that we can't factor in, but over the long haul, we can. There is a math component to your portfolio. So the more specific we know what that is. So if you're averaging 7 over the last 5 years, well, let's think back the last 5 years. Well, 2022 has been the only rough year that we've had. Every other year has been pretty positive. Now, it depends on what index you're looking at. I get it. But in general, the market has done very well those last several years. So 7 may be misleading because it could be 2% for the next 5 years. I mean, who knows based off of what that portfolio is. So if we just see 7%, oh great, let's just do 7% per year. But if I get 7 and I take out 4, well, there's a 3% spread every single year. Again, that is definitely fuzzy math. It doesn't work out that way. So that's why we're constantly changing and moving investments around, rebalancing, taking money out of different accounts depending on how the performance is going. So a lot to it when you start taking that money out.
All right, our second one here, I know a lot of people really think about dividend investing as a way to supplement their income in retirement. So for the people that say, I'll just live off dividends and never touch the principal, where's the fuzzy math here?
Dividend investing, which I'm fine with. Like, love dividend paying stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, but they're not the end all be all. If you look at high paying dividend funds or stocks, there is a trade-off a lot of times. So whatever dividend payouts they're paying, I mean, that's how much the stock price adjusts. If it's a 5% dividend, the stock price adjusts by 5%. So there's more to that, and there's still price volatility. Just because you're getting a 5% dividend, the share price still is very volatile because it's in the market. It's doing what it's doing. Again, so I'm not poo-pooing dividends. They're great. They can be fine. You can stagger them. If you have individual companies, you can stagger them throughout the year because they pay at different times. So that's one strategy. You can just do ETFs or mutual funds that are more dividend paying, and you can receive a yield that way. So if you just search highest dividend paying stocks and then just think, boom, I'm going to put all my money in that in my portfolio and I'll be good. That's not going to be the case because, again, that share price can fluctuate immensely. So there's still volatility that's going on. So having, again, diversification, there's that nerdy buzzword, but having dividend paying, but also more growth, more value, fixed income, you need to have those different streams.
Okay. So it could work, but you need to have a plan in place for how it all fits in within everything else you're doing within your plan. All right. What about this one, Ryan? I'll spend less in retirement because I won't be commuting anymore, or I won't be buying work clothes. There's a lot of expenses that will be going away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we hear that a lot. It's just usually you're changing what you're spending your money on. Sure, there could be less expenses. I get, not commuting, not eating out, so maybe not get as much gas, or maybe not eat out as much at lunch, but those usually are supplemented by travel or going out and doing things. And every time you leave your house, it's going to cost money in retirement. So we usually run retirement plans with pretty close to the same income that you were having when you retire or when you were working as when you get to retirement. Those things can scale back, as you get older. Sometimes you don't travel as much or is more active, but then you may need more money in the tail end of your life because of healthcare costs. So we want to factor those things in, but usually we run plans where you're spending pretty close to the same amount as you were while you're working. Now, if your income was something insanely high and that's not going to be the case, okay, we'll scale that back. But if you're in that 12, 22, 24%, even 32% tax bracket, it's usually going to be about the same income that you're going to need.
All right, well, let's shift gears to taxes too. I know this is one you'd probably push back on anybody that would say this. Hey, I'm not worried about taxes in retirement. I'll be in a lower tax bracket anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's for the next 4 years, that may be the case. That may be true because we're going to be in a relatively low income tax environment. And if you are super, super heavy on the pre-tax 401ks or traditional IRAs, depending on how you take that money out and how much money you need when you factor in Social Security and any other income streams that you do have, that may be 100% the case. You may be in the 32 and then you retire, you're going to be in the 22. Okay, there's a 10% difference there. So, but I'm not worried about the next 4 years. I'm worried about the next 10 to 15 to 20. What does that look like from a tax code standpoint? I don't want to be at the mercy of what our government's going to be in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I want to know that I have a certain amount. And again, I'm not telling you to move all of your money into a Roth bucket, but if we can start siphoning money from your IRA and paying the tax bill on it and putting it in a Roth, that you're not at the mercy of what the future tax code is. Because if the large majority of it is in brokerage accounts or Roth accounts, then you're not as much at the mercy of what the federal tax code is going to be, and even the state tax is going to be. So being aware of what those potential taxes are going to be, and we can run those scenarios if their tax rates are 20% higher than what they are now, 30% higher, it shows the difference of what your taxable income is going to be, which again, said it a million times on this show, it spills over into your Social Security taxes. It spills over into your Medicare premiums. It just continues on and on and on.
All right, one last one here, Ryan, the fuzzy math. If somebody says, hey, I'm just going to work part-time in retirement to make up the difference if I need to, it seems very simple, easy plan, but why might this not add up?
Yeah, because maybe where you sit at that moment, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm perfectly capable of still working and doing and blah, blah, blah. Well, you got to find a job, which age discrimination is a real thing. Let's call it what it is. If you can prove that you didn't get a job for that reason, okay, that's not going to be good for that employer. But it's difficult to prove a lot of times. But ageism is kind of a real thing when it comes to hiring people. But when you're out of work maybe for a little while and then going back and being on a schedule and my dad said it. My dad was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do something fun. I'll work at like Home Depot or something." And once he was out of work for a while, he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to be subject to what my schedule is on a weekly basis. I'm retired and I'm good." So for some people, this could be a real thing. Maybe they have something lined up. They can work at a golf course or do whatever they want to do. I do have one client that he works at a golf course and loves it and absolutely loves it. Works about 20 hours a week. Totally fine with it. Okay, that may work out, but that's not always the case. I wouldn't rely your retirement plan on working part-time in retirement because one, you may not find a job, and two, you just may not want to.
Well, I know that a retirement plan is an ongoing thing. It's a living, breathing document, really, right? It requires more than just these assumptions and these averages that, these statements kind of rely on, as we've talked about today. So if you haven't sat down and looked at your plan, specifically your numbers and where you want to go, how you want to get there, go to speakwithryan.com to actually book a time with Ryan. Get on his calendar. It's very simple to do, but you'll thank yourself later as you're preparing for retirement and knowing kind of where you're going rather than just hoping that the math works out. I know that's not the right approach for sure. So thanks for watching this video. Again, we'll have more coming. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Leave a comment as well if you haven't done that, if you haven't thought on your mind. But always reach out to Black Oak Asset Management to talk about specific situations for yourself. But we'll talk to you again soon, Ryan. Have a good week.
Thank you. You too.